Hello, friends, and welcome back to another Needlessly Nostalgic. I'm one of your hosts, Tyler Nichols, with my other host, Mr. Lance Velchek. Lance, we are getting back into the horror franchises. How excited are you?
I think you know by now this is one of my favorites, so it's always good to talk childhood, and that's what this is. Hey, actually, it's been since Friday the 13th, right?
Yeah, it's been a little while, which Friday the 13th ended in... Now, for those that are unaware, for these ones, when we're covering franchises, we don't have any guests because that way we can have... It's awkward when you have someone that just joins for an episode that then has to then kind of give their summary of like the franchise all in one, and like there's so much catching up, and I feel like it breaks the flow of things. So I don't like when other people do it. So we're gonna avoid guests for the franchises specifically, but you'll see some guests on commentary and other things like that. But I'm very excited to get into this one. You and I are both big Evil Dead fans. So before we actually get into the first film, what's your history with the franchise?
I accidentally, it's probably one of my favorite memories, I saw Army of Darkness in theaters.
Accidentally?
Well, I was super young. I mean, God, I had to be, I don't know, seven or eight. I mean, because, you don't know anything. So somebody just like brings you to a movie and you watch it. So yeah, accidentally. I didn't get to pick it. I wasn't consulted.
Accidental is such a funny word to use in that circumstance, because it almost feels like it's like, oh, I took a wrong turn. And it's like, oh, Army of Darkness.
I was an old childhood friend, Spencer. His dad was like a movie guy, and he, like, I think it was his birthday, or well, maybe my friend's birthday, I forget. We went to like an arcade, and they took us to a movie, and I remember very, I was so young, so it's only like little shots, but it was basically an empty theater with just us. And I saw this movie, and it changed my life. I was like, what is this? This is so weird and cool, and I was confused because it's like a time travel, but then it starts off in some cabin, and I was like, I don't know, man. It was just, for my young 7 or 8 year old brain, it blew my mind. And that's where it started. And then probably grade school or maybe junior high, I then realized there was more. That's the big twist, is like, I just thought Army of Darkness was a single movie. And then I explored the Evil Deads. Ironically, the last one I saw in, again, grade school or junior high was the OG Evil Dead.
That's fun.
So I saw them backwards. I've been a fan my whole life. I would say this is probably the biggest influence in terms of, like, I think the bedrock of what horror movies are to me. I like serious ones. I like more dramatic ones. I like thrillers. I like stuff like that. But I will always have a deep, grounded love for the kind of splatter, ridiculous type of stuff, and it all comes from this.
Yeah, I think you really summed it up. I have a very similar kind of story, and not that I accidentally saw the film, but
did you choose it? Did you choose it?
Yeah, this used to play on AMC and Sci-Fi a lot. I think it was AMC mostly. But I used to play all the time, and a buddy and I would always quote it. I don't know how, it was just the one movie that we would always see. I don't know if I knew of Evil Dead's existence at that point, but then the same buddy got me the Army of Darkness DVD. So then it became, I think I was probably in my first 50 DVDs that I owned. So it got quite the rotation, and I watched it all the time, which then I think I was pretty quickly on to Evil Dead. And I've always had a tough time. Like, the ranking episode is going to be really, really tough for me, because it just depends on the day. There's probably a day that you can catch me where the remake is my favorite of the franchise. There's just all of these films hit on such a different level that then it really just kind of depends on the mood that you're in terms of where the favoritism comes into play. That's how I feel, at least. And I'm excited to get into the first film in particular, because I have multiple memories of this one, and it's always like late at night and always affects me. It's just a great watch. This is one of those movies that I don't like to watch during the day. I prefer to have it on as late as possible.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's get in this. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, that's so it is The Evil Dead, not just Evil Dead. The Evil Dead from 1981. It is written and directed by Sam Raimi, starring Bruce Campbell, Ellen Sandweiss, Betsy Baker, Teresa Tilly, Ted Raimi as fake Shemp, and Richard DeManicore. We'll give him a nice little shout out since he as Scott. Good old Scott.
Scott, yeah.
So this movie, I love this first film. I think this viewing though, it kind of gave me the feeling of as much as I love it, I could understand a younger generation watching this and thinking it's dated. Whether just the sound effects, the I don't know. There's like weird cues that happen that I love, but I always end up watching stuff with that other. It's like I watch it under my vision, and then I try to view it as what the other people would see it. And that was because I can see it sometimes too with the original Halloween. Where I'm like, oh, I'm really glad I watched it when I did, because I think if I came to it now, it might be too old fashioned. And I could see that being the case for this film. I don't feel that for any other film in this franchise Evil Dead Rise probably.
Yeah.
In terms of
we'll get to that.
Yeah, in terms of being very much in a certain period of time, but yeah, there's moments in this that I still love that I'm like, okay, yes, someone could see that as cheesy. Meanwhile, I just see it as that's Sam Raimi and his fucking humor, because you and I both know that they're very much as they're known for horror movies, they're very much comedy guys.
100%. If you read If Chins Could Kill, which I'll talk about more when we do our Army of Darkness episode. I mean, they talk about, Bruce Campbell, I should say, they gets into how horror was picked not because it was the true deep love of these guys, but because back in that time, it was very easy to get a movie. I shouldn't say easy, but like if you're going to get a cheap, low budget movie, I was going to be the drive-in, and drive-ins were primarily for like exploitation and horror. And they realized that that's where movies could make money. So it was a financial decision. Hence why the second they could, they added more comedy.
Yeah. And they're not, Raimi's just now getting back into horror, and his other horror venture was that Drag Me to Hell. Oh, sorry.
Which is very, very Evil Dead 2 Army of Darkness, to be very honest.
Yes, very, very much so. I mean, that movie's not for me, but yeah, it very much goes for the comedy over everything.
Well, we'll save that conversation for later. I got questions, but yes.
Dude, if we ever do one of those, I hate that movie. So it would be a fiery podcast.
Wow.
But no,
let's say I love it. Okay. Yeah, we'll save it. Let me jump in and say, because I want to go back to your original thought, which I actually completely agree with. I've always loved this movie. It was the last one I saw. It holds a special place because in my teenage years, this was an inspiration of it is possible to get something done with your friends and have a good time. But this movie has to live in that sort of bubble of friends making a movie, and this is what we got, because it is in a lot of ways, acting is okay. It's not great. Sound is weird. It feels amateur a lot of the time, but why it's great is because there are so much amazing things done by fucking kids. I think of, okay, you give me money, you put me in the woods with my friends. Do I have the innate talent to pull this off? And I don't think I do. So you have to it's tied into the amateur way this kind of came about. And I don't think you could separate that. And the problem is kids nowadays aren't into film history like we were. I hate to say that, but with algorithms and just the way things are presented, a lot of this younger generation doesn't necessarily look back. There's just so much content, so much things out there for them to kind of play around with. Where with us, we love new stuff, but we were probably the last generation to look back Like, okay, what were the older guys doing? Let's like, we got our education from that. Sam Raimi was, you know, I don't say an old man, but he wasn't a kid when I got into him. He was already, you know, probably in his 40s, I'm guessing, if I'm doing my math right.
Yeah.
But seeing him make this movie with his friends inspired me. And you would have to sell this movie with that tied into it. I couldn't just show something. But here's Evil Dead. Like, hey, this is a movie where a bunch of guys got together with very little money, financing from random fucking people in Michigan. And I'm sure you're happy because some of the best movies ever made came from your people.
Yep.
And got this thing made. This is all about the sort of the entrepreneurship involved. You can't have it any other way. You can't just be a movie. You have to sell it like that. And it breaks my heart because I would definitely say that this might not live in terms of being a super entertaining film to maybe a new generation, but this is definitely something that hopefully would live in like a film class or film studies. That's what I would hope would happen.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. And I think too, that's a point that I had kind of forgotten, that I mean, one of the big motivators for me with this film was these were guys that went to Michigan State. I was an hour away from Michigan State. It made all of this seem so possible. Also, like, I think most of my life, high school and college, I was literally just looking for my Sam Raimis and my Bruce Campbells, my people that like we all share the same sensibilities, all this like this shared camaraderie. It took until I finally went to Joe Blow and we finally was able to cultivate that a bit. But otherwise, it feels like it's been 30 years of trying to hunt down this same kind of thing, because it's like they did this when they were in their 20s and they still, to this day, they still work together. They still do stuff. They're still around. Like, that's awesome.
I think I might be kind of sad when I say this. We always talk about time and place. And I think the growing up is when you realize like that things aren't always possible. And I'm not saying it's impossible to do what they did, but I do think a large chunk of why it worked was they came around the 70s. We're from a later generation. Like we're already past. Our best chance would have been like the straight to DVD market if we got right on it in our 20s and hustled. But they happened to be at a time where like making movies was hard and not a lot of people did it. And there was a huge venue for low budget stuff. Because I watched this movie, the first thing I thought is like, there are amateur mistakes in this that would never, ever, ever be allowed now. Yeah. But back then you could. And that kind of makes me sad. Like we've gone so far away from this where there is a level of production audio that is almost required. And I kind of get it because we grow and we got to be better. Mm-hmm. But I also love the idea that kids could get together, make mistakes and still make something this fun. And this, I think, exciting and this successful. It's like the bar has been raised to a point where if Sam Raimi and his friends were right now, YouTube might be their best chance, but they're not getting into a theater. They're not getting the amount of money they got. And, that's just a time and place thing. So it's sad to think that as much as I want this, it is not, and maybe I'm being too cynical. I don't think it's a realistic expectation now.
Yeah, I really try to encourage, like, it's best if independent productions do take massive swings, and even if it doesn't work, at least they tried. It's a reason why we just did, there was the Joe Blow Worst of the Year list and video that we put out, and my whole mindset when doing that video was, I'm not picking on these independent films that fucking tried and it just didn't work. I'm picking on these fucking studio films that were made by committee, that were made without any kind of creative bone in their body, where it's just like, that's the kind of stuff that needs to be kind of, I don't know, shamed and reprimanded and given those kinds of labels. Because I think that when something that then there might be something, even Evil Dead is an example. What if this came out nowadays, didn't connect in the same way? So then we would have missed out on all of these films that had followed. Like that's unfair to put this film on the same plane as a studio film, anything studio dollars, because this is, as despite its place in history, this is a student film.
A student film that could not happen now because this didn't blow up right away. I mean, eventually did when Stephen King gave his little quote, but this had time to percolate. We don't let things percolate anymore. So now, I mean, not to tie it to TV, but Seinfeld couldn't exist because the first season was rough and, it took 2 seasons. The Office, you think stuff like that.
Yep.
Movies are the same way. We don't get franchises because really you have one chance, and it sucks because I think the home video market was really the second leg of everything outside of maybe, dollar theaters, but nothing gets a chance to sort of find an audience. I mean, hell, I think because of Red Letter Media watched Dinner in America. And, I'm thinking, it's a new movie. No, it's like 4 or 5 years old, but now that's just getting like a little theatrical run because it's popular. It's becoming a little more well-known. That's like a 1 in a million chance.
Yeah.
You put out a movie, it either works or it doesn't, or it works, but it gets buried under a bunch of bullshit from a streaming service and nobody sees it. So there is, think of, my brain's going on all different tangents.
You're good.
The Manson Midnight Massacre. I'm not saying the full name because it's long, from our friends, Chris Margettis and Mike. That's a really fun, awesome independent movie. That should have a sequel. And if that came out 20 years ago, it would have. It could have had a trilogy of fun fucking wrestlers killing a bunch of random different horror trope icons and monsters and stuff. But we haven't got a sequel yet because why? It came out in the era where it came out. It did pretty well. I mean, in terms of like reviews, but there's 1,000 things come up the same day. So Evil Dead is, again, a time and place movie, man.
Yeah, I agree. And so for these franchise chats, we do it a little bit differently in that we are going to be moving through the movie. Not like scene by scene, but just a little more so. I kind of want to reconfigure our listeners' brains because obviously we were a little better about it during the John Carpenter thing, but during the holiday favorites, we were kind of fucking all over the place in what we talked about. So we will be going like through the film and getting specific scenes and all of that. So let's start right at the beginning. I think that this movie, like we immediately get that fucking awesome camera put on a piece of plywood or 4x4, whatever the hell, or 2x4 that then they just carry through the woods, and it looks incredible. I love that aesthetic, and then how it goes to them singing that song. I can't remember the lyrics, but I will always have that tune in my head.
Yeah.
Everything it's such a fun establishment of these characters. I've always gotten such a kick out of it.
All the songs that we've sung together after all the sweet and all the storm.
I'll give you the thing over the pond. I mean, I think that's really cool. I think the singing's really corny, but fair enough. I mean, hey, if it's catchy to you, I
don't think it's catchy. I think it's fun. It is corny. That's like there's a just because something's corny doesn't mean that it's not fun.
I would have cut it, but that's just me. I would have cut to them just driving. No need to sing. People don't sing. I mean, maybe back in the day they sung. I don't know. Economy is better. People have money. Things are easier. Maybe they would, but I can't relate to that. I would not be singing.
I mean, yeah, I'm not a singer either, but it shows it's a fun, jovial spirit between all of them. We're able to kind of get their aesthetic right off the bat, from whether it's a side glance from one of them or a little, like, obviously even who they're sitting next to, you know, just from who's sitting by each other, who's paired up, who's not, how the framing is, because obviously when they're shooting Bruce Campbell and his girlfriend, they're framed together, and they just do a good job where it's like, okay, this is the couple. This is we don't know it's the sister immediately, but it's like, okay, these are couples. She's like a fifth wheel. Then they have like the dangerous bridge that they go over. It's just, I love the setup to this movie so much because there's payoff to almost every little element. The bridge going across where the panels drop down. It's like we then know that bridge is weak. That even if the bridge wasn't weak, I'm pretty sure that the evil force could have taken it down. Just saying, because we've seen some crazy shit this thing can do.
Yeah, and let's give some credit to like in the first like, not even 5 minutes. We got the bridge, we have the little pond, we have they swerve out the way of the truck. All the different unique and I would say difficult shots you got just to make that sort of more engaging. I mean, the bridge thing, I'm thinking, how the hell would I fucking even do that? How would I do that if I had no money? I mean, they had some money, but not that much, and they didn't have Premiere Pro and After Effects and DaVinci to sort of add stuff in. So it just shows you, man. I mean, even as simple as them filming the car from, I think they're on top of a truck driving behind it. It's this gorgeous wide shot, and we see the cabin coming up, and it's like, man, there's so much happening. They're setting up what's going on. It's so pretty.
And it's so human too, because it's not like smoothed out. They don't have all these stabilizers. Like I can picture what that shot is in a modern film. I mean, technically we probably got a similar one in the Evil Dead remake, but it would be so smooth. And it's one reason I've really enjoyed going back and watching some older films, because I love flaws in movies that stay in the film. And it's not like, if Sam Raimi at the time, if he could have that be a smoother shot, I'm sure he would have. It's the same thing with like all the little handheld shots that you can clearly tell it's someone walking, or it's like that. I'm sure that, yes, it's the same reason that I'm sure that he has difficulty seeing this film, because he sees all of his mistakes and the things that he would do different. But
of course,
it's like that's how anyone with anything creative does. It's like even there's a shot of Scott is going up to the cabin, and the shot is focused on the swing in the foreground. However, the swing isn't in the shot at the very beginning of the shot, because it's like a pan over. So Scott is out of focus in the shot, where it's like, it's those little things that then it's nice to see the masters are human, essentially. Like,
but going back to what I said earlier, right? Why this couldn't work nowadays, because people would be like, "Oh, it's not even focused." But it's like, we don't give a shit because it's quick, and then we immediately get to the swing, which is interesting. That's a cool little tidbit of it's haunted. I mean, hey, there's evil, something's going on. Yeah, but you're right though. He's out of focus, and it's a pan, because wrecking focus in the daylight with all the sun, with probably the timing was just too hard.
Yeah. Have you ever seen this movie on VHS?
The first time I saw it was VHS.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I feel like this might be one of the best films for VHS, because you're not like, the audio quality is already not great, because I own this movie on 4K. It's probably why I noticed certain things, where then even something like the Scott not being in focus, again, it's something I just wanted to bring up. It's not even something I ever noticed during the movie, and I'm like, brings me out of it. Just wanted to bring it up.
Let me say this. I watched this 100 times, and probably the first 60, I never noticed he was out of focus either, because I just, you're engulfed. You're just fully in the movie. And I'll be honest, I don't remember how this looked on VHS, but I just, as you get older, everything looks like shit on VHS. So it probably didn't hurt.
Yeah.
But you're right though. This is a movie that I feel can't be cleaned up too much. Like, I also have the 4K, and it's good. It's fine. I have it. I think it's pretty. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't think that the DVD is useless. I still actually, I don't ever get rid of my old movies. I have the DVD, and I might even prefer it, because it just has the DVD is like the perfect quality for this. And I'm going to say it real quick, because I know that you disagree with me. I'd also say the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Certain movies just, I think, lend itself to a slightly lower quality.
Lower quality works for some films. Something about Texas Chainsaw though is I liked the cleaned up look.
I know you do. I disagree, but this can never be that clean, because a bunch of kids hung out in the winter in Tennessee and made a very fast movie.
Yeah, and I assume it's 16 millimeter. Like, has to be.
Yeah. No. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I know it's not 30.
No. Well, and then so they go through, they like enter the cabin, which I like this setup for the cabin, which apparently do not go and try and find this cabin. I've always heard that it's not a good sign, not a good thing to go do. I think Bruce Campbell has like warned people against doing that because it's like hunters. It's like hunting land or something. It's
private land, and I think the cabin has been burned down for years. So even if you went, you'd just see like like a brick or something. Like I bet now it's so overgrown you would even know. But no, it's not. It's not. Yeah, I don't think it's public. I think it's private. So you don't want to go on private land in Tennessee. Like that's going to get you shot.
Yeah, 100%. Which also, whoever owns that land, what a dummy. You have like a easy money maker for you right there. Come on, just have it be a little. Put up a little shed. Do something like it's like. Just to show, it's like, yep, this is the site of Evil Dead.
I'd just maybe try to do like the best they could to like rebuild it and make it look the same or the closest you can, and then have people rent it as an Airbnb. Come on, make some money.
Yeah, it's like people that I don't understand. It's like sometimes people don't want to make money. It's the same people with own the Elm Street house, where it's like, what the fuck? What? Just embrace it. Don't run from it.
Well, the new people got worse. I guess now they do a bunch of dickish stuff, like block stuff, and try to get you from taking pictures or stop from taking pictures.
Yep, it's completely blocked off. You like can't see shit. You can like peer through, but it doesn't look the same either. They've redone. They have like all these signs that are essentially saying like private property, go away, and they don't seem to be nice people. But doesn't sound like the Evil Dead, the Evil Dead property people are much better. But I get it. They're that's like middle of the woods. They don't want people going into their land. It's not just something a house.
You don't mess with Tennessee hillbillies. I mean, come on, man. We gotta understand the cultural differences here. Some people in California are going to be dickish, but you don't want to go somewhere you're going to get shot.
Yeah.
Especially when there's nothing there. You're going to get shot for essentially just like a plot of land that you wouldn't recognize anyway.
Well, and it's interesting too because this we'll get into them, but. They really make sure to set up like Ash is really a secondary character in this first half of the film, and it's really established too with Scott. Scott's the guy that goes into the cabin first. Like he's the man. He's the one that's braving it all first and doing stuff, and is I guess the person who moves the plot forward more so than Ash. Which is crazy given Ash's importance to the franchise, but that's kind of the whole point of his character is that he's an everyman that has to rise to the occasion. If anything, I might even call him a little bit of a pussy.
Oh, he's an absolute pussy in this. I mean, they don't call him Ash; they call him Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley.
Because I've seen this in the reverse. This was the last one I saw. I don't have that true experience that most people probably did of seeing this, like, I don't know if my dad or it's probably Gen X would be the generation that probably saw this at a younger age, but I knew Ash was the hero the whole time because he's the hero in the series, but watching this blindly, not only would you assume he's going to die and Scott's the lead, but we both know that one of the girls is going to be the final girl.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because this is absolutely in the era of the final girl. So I don't think Scott's not going to live. He's going to die, or he will die at the end, and then it's going to either be probably Linda or Cheryl, maybe Shelley. But no, it's a final guy, and it's the weak one. And that's a cool little play on the final girl trope that at the time was, full steam ahead, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely, filmed in 79, so it would have been pre-Friday the 13th. There would have really just been Halloween and the very beginnings of slashers. So maybe it wouldn't have been a totally established trope, because even like Black Christmas, she's not a final girl. She gets killed at the end.
I guess that's a good point. Yeah.
So it might just not be established.
It's just an accidental thing of progression because it came out in 83 or
accidental subversion. Yeah.
Like it just was trying to just make a just wacky horror movie, and by the time it actually came out, the trope had existed, and he was subverting the trope without even doing it on purpose.
Yeah. which is fun. Like, have you, because you've been to different conventions, have you ever met any of the cast of Evil Dead?
Well, I've a lot of them actually. So I'll send you the picture eventually. We could put it up on social. 1 year I went. It was like the Evil Dead ladies, and I remember I went to the table and I talked to Cheryl Williams, Ellen Sandweiss,
who I've always heard is the nicest lady.
And she, she's cute. She's like, I don't know, she just has that kind of brunette vibe thing I liked. And I remember like, I don't know why I thought this, and I would never do this now. And it shows you just the confidence of youth. I was like, I'm going to go flirt with her. And I went up and I started like hitting on her. And I was like, I'd like to get a picture. I didn't buy anything. My whole thing was I never want to buy stuff. I want to get free pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh no, let me get the girls. I go, no. Just with you. And dude, she fucking lit up like a Christmas tree and just put her hands around me and gave me like this big fucking hug and kiss in the cheek. And I have the picture and I'll never forget that. I mean, I was, I didn't have the balls to try to sleep with her. I mean, I was like, what, 16? But I always remember that. I always remember like, nope, just you. And she fucking was like, okay, man. But no, I met all of them, talked to all of them. Really cool girls, real nice, man. I mean, this was probably 2002 or 3, maybe, if I'm guessing my time frame.
Yeah, that's.
And yeah, of course, Campbell and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Bruce is awesome. I was able to talk to him for. God, what was that stupid show that he did? He did some dumb show on Ryan Reynolds' Maximum Effort channel. It was one of those like it was like items that were out of print. But then what the hell was it called? It was something stupid. Regardless, it was for that. So I wasn't able to talk to him a lot about his career or anything. But I'm sure he is probably fed up with talking about Evil Dead at this point, I would assume.
Yeah, you'd have to find something different. But he's a convention guy, and I've seen him do a lot of Q&As, and even my sister loves him because his whole thing is like busting balls and fucking making fun of people. So like at this era of his conventions, if you go to ask him some dumb Evil Dead question, you're going to get made fun of. But that's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great sort of like character arc. Like he was there doing the early conventions when he was like nobody, and he was. Fucking, I love this movie. And now by the time it's like, did you have fun Evil Dead? He's like, oh, fine. He's going to give you shit. And I think that's a good way to go about it. Cause the only other way to sort of continue on would be to hate Evil Dead or just sort of stop going to conventions. But it's like, no, he continues. He's just now going to give you hell.
I think too, Bruce Campbell has to be the top money earner at conventions. Like, has to be. That man is at so many conventions, and whenever I look at the prices, it's always so much. Like he has to be making probably 7 figures just from his different convention appearances.
Well, if you see how he signs his name on like his book or something, it's like fuck, I wish I had the book on me. It's in my living room. But he basically says, like, I won't sign your stuff unless it's at a convention. Because, I guess people bother him with his kids and come to him when they're eating dinner.
Yeah.
And, and I kind of get that. It's like, no, I go, there's a place and time.
Yeah.
But he like acknowledges like, Ash, he won't send me a picture, Campbell, like something like that, something fucking witty. But no, he's smart. This is his job and he'll deliver, but he's not gonna waste his time. And I think there's a respect of like, okay, he knows his worth. He's a cool dude when, he's doing his thing, but don't bother him. I don't know. He was like the first to sing that I think, or at least know of, that established that sort of like, I will play your game. I'll hang out. I'll sign stuff. I'll talk, but it's going to be at this time and place.
Mm-hmm. Which I respect. Like all the power to these celebrities saying no to people, where it's like there's a lot of people feel very, what is it, privileged, entitled to celebrities' time, where it's like that's not the case in any way. Like, you're not entitled to any of this. Just treat them like humans.
Stan culture really, I think, ruined the celebrity fan relationship.
Yeah, like, just be respectful, and be like, shouldn't be that difficult. But one thing that always stands out to me we had a conversation probably a year ago at this point, might be a little more, where you said that you agreed with the man from the Evil Dead remake in regards to reading from the book. However,
Yes.
and now I'm going to say Scott here has much more, what is it, deniability with this whole situation. He's just pressing play on a thing. Who knows what it is? It's not some creepy looking book. He's just pressing play. He's, you know what I mean? There's not an element of what the fuck are you doing? This is a demonic book that was then covered in barbed wire, and like, you clearly should not be messing with it. At least this, it's like, okay, this makes sense as to why you would be looking through this.
Hold on. I know it was wrapped in barbed wire in like a black garbage bag, but didn't it also say somewhere like, don't open or read me?
Yes. Yeah. Like on the first thing when you see it's like, do not read. So
No, you're right. Scott is just being, he's just exploring and fucking around this old cabin. No, you're 100% right. I mean, I don't think, he's to blame, especially here. No, the guy in the remake is to blame. I'm just saying that I have actively done what the guy in the remake has done. I've messed with things I shouldn't have. I've read from passages. I've cut my hand open and made pentagrams and tried to summon things. And, you know, I just want a little bit of fun, but no, I wouldn't blame Scott. He's just having a goof.
see, well, that's why I bring it up, because it was never a thing. I think actually before, I think I actually did blame Scott. I was like, what the fuck, Scott? But because of our conversation, watching this movie now, I'm like, you know what, Scott, you're not really to blame in this situation. If you weren't nearly as egregious as the other guy.
No. I mean, maybe when what's her face starts screaming to turn it off, he could have turned it off. That'd be the closest. But
yeah,
know.
but she's a baby. That's kind of what the film establishes. She's like, you know what I mean? Like, she's the little sister to your friend that you're like, oh, she's always bitches about stuff. Like, everyone has that.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, it's funny you blamed him before, because I never did. But
of course
I guess that tracks for me. Yeah. I'm actually I'm pro these guys. Open word books, read from passages. Let's have a good time.
What I like too, that because Cheryl really is she's the through line for the demon. Like, she's the person that's first haunted. She's the first possessed. She gets the famous, because we can talk about it, the tree rape scene, because it goes from them reading or having the book read, because they don't have to read it, which again, I think that's a smart way to do it, because then it's like you don't have to know Latin. But then it goes into this, like, Cheryl's being tormented by this. She is being completely fucked up in so, like, whether it's her looking out the window and then like, yeah, let's get into the tree rape, unless there's something earlier you want to talk about.
No, I actually think this is the defining. In fact, I think I might have even done a video on this. This is the defining scene of the movie.
Yes,
because it's the meanest. It's the darkest, and it's the only scene that's as effective as it is without really a demon or interesting special effects. Obviously the tree wrapping around is a cool effect, but this is just, just mean, man. It's just mean.
It is the meanest, and I think that it works so well. It's this is the kind of scene that people can be legitimately shocked by. It's shocking to see. Whenever you see there's the pain in her voice, and I mean, rape scenes are rough, yet this is like a special, not special in that way of like it's different, a unique kind of scene, which now I'm wondering, I guess it doesn't matter. We're on a podcast network. I was going to say, should we be avoiding saying the rape word, but it should be fine.
If it was YouTube, I'd say yes, but no, I don't think podcasts deal with the same stuff. Yeah, this is also, I think, where you really kind of see Sam Raimi shine, just in terms of directing, the POV things, knocking down the branches of the tree, her looking around, the reverse shots of the branches, of course. Just everything. It's low budget, but this is absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? influential.
Yes.
I'm like, just thinking, okay, let's you, me. Okay, we both understand editing. We both understand general movie making. If I'm 20 or not, how old was he? 21 maybe? Thinking how I would film this, I would shoot it, and it being this effective, like ripping off her sleeve, something as simple as that, like it looks good. Ripping off her shirts.
And it's nighttime too.
Marks.
Nighttime and low, like no money, yet it looks great. Yeah, they do such a good job with
ripping off her clothes, but they have obviously the blood under it, but it's done quick enough where it just looks good.
It looks fantastic. I mean, I'm watching the scene right now, and it's amazing how. And yes, you can say that like, oh, that lighting is a little too harsh with it being at night or like at nighttime. It shouldn't be quite as lit, but it works for me. I don't mind stuff like that. It's not super lit.
I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to fight people and say I prefer this because we're in an era now where things are so fucking dark. I actually, I don't give a shit. The moon, guess what? The moon is brighter than a light bulb right now. Fine. At least I could see something. Because God, this just wouldn't look as good if it had that realistic nighttime look. The only thing I would say is maybe more blue, but that's because we grew up in an era where, blue was like the cover for the moon. It's like, like fuck it. I love how this looks.
James Cameron look where it's like, oh, if it's nighttime, it's got to be blue.
I like it. But that's our era. We're out of that.
Yep.
And let's talk about that. Essentially, she escapes. And I think I mentioned this maybe earlier. If I did, I'm going to bring it up now. I think the best thing they did is her coming back and saying, I want to leave now. Let's go home now. Of course, why wouldn't she? But again, there's a lot of 80s movies where they don't try to leave. They find reasons to stay. So again, Sam Raimi accidentally subverting 80s tropes without even doing it on purpose.
Yeah. And also to Ash being in many other films, it would be dismissive and just moving on. Like, no, we're not going, or you can go yourself, but no, Ash is like, oh, okay, she's freaking out. I'm going to take care of I'm going to take her. Yeah. It's going to ruin our time, but it's whatever. I like that. It shows their relationship, which is nice because we even get kind of a payoff of their relationship in Ash versus Evil Dead, which I really, really, really enjoy and was happy to see her come back in.
Yes. Yeah. It was season 2 is the best. I love season 2. What a great fucking season.
Yeah, that whole show is great.
Absolutely. I'm just saying, spoilers. It's an amazing show. I think season 2 is my favorite season.
Yeah, here's hoping we get a animated season 4. It's always been the hope.
The fucking pirating people ruining my good time.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it legally, specifically because I wanted it to count.
Yeah, me too. I support. It's like, hey, man, you want to take something here and there? I got my own problems. Go for it, man. But when it comes to taking care of your own, you take care of your own. And so, yes, I mean, not to tangent off a little, but I mean, let's be very honest. Sam Raimi and company double dip like motherfuckers when it comes to this series because they keep releasing different versions of DVDs and Blu-rays and 4Ks and yada yada. And guess what? I have a lot of them. There's a lot of people I'd call out and be like, guys, let's not rob everybody. But I've owned different DVDs, multiple fucking Blu-rays. It's like I want them to have money. I want them to keep working.
There's
certain people.
Isn't like the only film that they have like legit control over the remake? Oh, and obviously Rise.
I don't know.
I thought that.
Because the producers, probably.
I thought because they had to sell. I thought they had to sell a lot of. Because I thought that was the whole reason we kept getting all these different releases. Because it was like technically different producers had control, so then they could release their own DVDs.
I didn't know about that. That being said, they never came out and said they had to be getting a penny from that.
Oh, they had to get money. Yeah, absolutely. I just don't think they were the decision makers behind doing, okay, hey, we need 10 Evil Dead 2s. Because Army of Darkness has been real bad for Blu-rays. They have so many different Blu-rays of that. And I know it's rights bullshit with that.
No, I feel bad blaming them, but I've owned many of them. You know,
Same.
Every time there's some stupid thing, it's like, we're going to do this cool cover. I'm like, fuck. Looks like I'm buying it again. I mean, I'm not a completist, so I don't have everything, but, you know, I've like I don't know what you have, but I used to have the Book of the Dead's DVDs of 1 and 2. I have the tin box version of Evil Dead 2. I had the European version of Army of Darkness and DVD. I mean, dude, it's adorable.
Yeah, I definitely have all of the films on DVD, like the trilogy on DVD and Blu-ray and 4K. So, and there's some that I have multiple of. Like, I think I have multiple versions. Like, I know I have multiple versions. I have multiple Blu-rays of the like 1 and 2. So it's just kind of how this franchise is. When they release stuff, it's like, well, this looks cool. They do a good job with cover arts for these. So
yes. And again, I don't know, there's something, and I know you're the same, where this is special to me. So I'm more likely to double, triple, and quadruple dip, you know?
Yeah. When it's a favorite, it's like, okay, of course I'm gonna buy it. There's a reason that I have the Scream 4Ks and specifically imported one of them. Because it's like, yeah, when you like something, you're going to do crazy shit like that. It happens. That's why I'm very upset that we still don't have a Nightmare on Elm Street proper collection on 4K. But you damn sure well know that I own that first film on 4K because that's the only one that's been released.
We will, my friend. It has to happen in our life. That might be the last thing I get in my life, but I'm confident that before I leave this plane, I will have a great box set for Nightmare on Elm Street.
Let's hope so. And so with Evil Dead, because another weird element of this film is aspect ratio. What do you usually watch this film at? Because there are multiple different aspect ratios.
I feel like, I don't know if it's 4:3. The boxes, the bars on the side.
Yes, 4:3
is 4:3. I think 4:3 tends to be the one that I've seen it the most. Last night when I put on the because I got that 1/2 Steelbook 4K edition, it said original or enhanced version. I was like, I never watched the enhanced. It's just it's blown up. So I was like, fair enough. So yeah, I'd probably say that the 4:3 is just the go-to. I mean, I don't see any reason to fuck around with something that doesn't need to be fixed.
I guess it's technically 1331.
Oh, is that what this is?
Yeah, because then
so
the theatrical cut or the widescreen aspect ratio, which is them literally just like cropping it out, was 1851, which is that classic like 16:9, and that happened in 2002.
Oh,
yeah.
I assume the one I've always seen has the bars on the left and the right. That tends to be my go-to. Is that 1:3?
That's the one. Okay, that's the 1:3. So that's the full screen. But I also know that there is like there's a different one that's not 185. It's like 179 or something. There's like a weird, and there's like another one where it's like, oh yeah, this one is close but slightly different. I went down a rabbit hole during the Joe Blow days, back when they used to have like GeoCity websites for different horror franchises. And I remember going through and they had screenshots of all the different aspect ratios. And you could see like the subtle differences. That was the reason I finally decided that full screen was the one I need to check out.
Next, when we do Evil Dead, I'll report back. I'm going to actually put in the OG Evil Dead DVD that I have, because the Book of the Dead is like rotted away over the years, and so I just have like the insert. I'm going to see what that one is, because that was my go-to for most. Because I saw some VHS, but not too long after DVD became like a full swing, and so I was an early adapter. So I don't know.
How the hell?
I'm assuming full screen.
How are you storing your DVDs that they're rotting? I still have my I don't know. Evil Dead 2.
The Book of the Dead is the only thing that it didn't rot, I should say, but it became ripped, and I'm very good. For some reason, maybe the pressure of the DVDs against it, I have no idea. It's the one thing that just it didn't survive.
That's crazy.
But I kept the insert, the little plastic part. So
yeah, that's nuts. I know.
And now if you go look at it, they're like $200 if you want to replace it. So.
All right. Well, when Ash takes Cheryl, she goes to the bridge, and we finally get to see that the bridge is completely taken out, which I think is a great effect, especially for the budget. Like,
plus that cool Dutch angle when like they're walking down.
Yeah, it's a cool moment. But I think one of my favorite moments in the reveals in the film is when we finally see like Demon Cheryl when she's talking and she's like faced away from the camera, and then she turns back towards the camera.
Because she knows she's aware of the cards.
Yep.
It's like Roger Spades, go fucking in. Yeah, no, great. And also, for no money, I really like the demon look.
Yes.
Like it's low budget, but it works, man. I was thinking, I feel bad saying this, but thinking of, how the dead looked before they got kind of gross in Dawn of the Dead. When they're just kind of blue.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was just the camera and it was supposed to be gray. That had more money, but it didn't look as good. These guys, I just felt like the demons are very unique here. Yeah. I know I'm comparing apples and oranges, but just saying like with a little money, I think they did a really good job with making a unique looking monster.
Yeah, I think it's the eyes too. Like there's something about Evil Dead demons that always they stand out. I mean, the biggest standout is how they act, because the demons in Evil Dead it's my favorite form of a demon. I love them so much. They're crass, but they're not juvenile. There's just like a certain side to them that just feels like, yep, these people hang out in hell and like the most evil things possible and get joy out of tormenting the living.
I was going to say there's a bit of playfulness, a very dark playfulness that I think really, really lends itself to making them unique. It's not, like you said, it's not juvenile, but it's also not super serious. There's that line and probably, I mean, let's be honest, I'm sure there's some element of the Three Stooges, but I think the eyes are actually really what it is, because they're very thick, bulgy, white contact lenses, and that is a very unique thing. Plus the voice, where it's like, obviously like a double voice, which isn't necessarily unique, but how they use it, I think, is really cool.
It's incredible. I mean, it's so good. And then like how they lock her in the basement or the cellar for what is, I mean, some of the most iconic imagery from this franchise is the look of Demon Cheryl from the like cellar door. It looks incredible, just so good. And like it's how it's lit, it's perfect. And
yeah, the shot that's actually, I would say, the part that, I wasn't too young and I wasn't too old, but like, I wouldn't say this movie didn't really creep me out, but the one scene that did is when it's just, she's freaking out, banging, and the little slow door is 6-8 inches, and she's just screaming and making noise, and it just kind of focuses on her, and it's just the moment of chaos. Even now, I find that that's like a great, just uneasy feeling, and something that I don't know, it'd be hard to replicate. I mean, obviously they've done it, and all the other ones and stuff like that, but there's this one they haven't beat. Maybe because it is a little amateur and it's and a little raw.
Yeah. I think they're probably not using the same tricks of the trade that would then become more used once this is a bigger Hollywood style production. Which even then, I have a hard time even calling it that, because like for two and Army of Darkness more so is a studio film, but it's not 100%. Like. They still have that Sam Raimi sensibilities to them, especially with the filmmaking style on display. So like this one, it's they're making the low budget gives it its texture and gives it the identity that we come to know it as.
Well said. Yeah.
we see it once they because obviously this series is known for like retelling, because they didn't have the rights to the prior film, so they would have to retell the prior film in the beginning of the next movie. And that just look at what they did for the retelling of this in part 2. It's so polished comparatively.
Yeah, they basically remake the entire second movie in the first 12 minutes.
Yeah, only
they remake this in the second movie.
Yeah, only with considerably less characters. It's just Ash and the girlfriend.
Just like it's a summary. It's like, okay, let's tweak it up, which is why I think Army of Darkness was so confusing to such a young me in the theater, because I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
it just seems so weird. But yeah, it's because they kept summing it up.
Yeah. It's I guess that's something we can talk about in the other episodes, because like the changes between each film, like just
let's save it for the movie itself, because that'll be obviously that's gonna be a big part of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness.
Yeah, exactly. So the rest of the film, it really is just like, okay, this person gets possessed. Now you got to deal with it. This person gets possessed. You got to deal with it. And it seems like Scott's going to be the person that deals with it. And then suddenly Scott gets taken out. Or like Ash essentially has to be prodded. Like, no, you're our lead. No, stand up. Put your big boy pants on. Like, you're the one that has to do this.
And storytelling wise, that's a really cool idea of the reluctant hero that isn't even a hero. He is a bitch. It is hard though, because we know that he's so cool. So watching this with the knowledge of the other ones, it's something that I always have a hard time balancing myself, because it's like Ash is the cool guy and he annoys me in this. But yes, I mean, as a singular film, I like, he has the axe and he's trying to save Scott, and he's like getting nervous watching Scott getting his hand bit off, and he's like, it's like, yeah, that actually is a cool idea, because the guy is just being completely set up as the bitch that has to eventually get a pair of balls. But let's say real quick, Scott's fucking death is such a great, cool moment. I love thumbs in the eyes, and this is one of the gooeyest.
I love like the build up to Scott's death, where he's just like dying on the couch, like it's
pouring blood.
Yeah, because I feel like that's the moment where it's like, oh shit, yeah, this is a big shift. Because I guess I say this I knew Ash was the lead like the whole time. It was never some kind of mystery, but it's just interesting story wise to then see what they're doing, because it's like, yeah, Ash is set up as, like I said earlier, a pussy. Yeah, he really overcomes. But if you didn't
have the information of the later movies, you wouldn't think he would, because Scott is the one taking action. Scott's tough, and again, if it's not Scott, it's gonna be a girl.
Yeah,
you're not gonna think it's gonna be Ashley.
Yeah, and there's little things too. Like, I mean, I love the fact that at one point Ash is like looking down at the cellar, and then Demon Cheryl's hand goes up through the floor, and it's like, that means they had to score like a plank in the floor, put someone down there, which I already know there was not much space beneath the cabin. So it's like, yep, that element too is cool, because it shows they didn't take the approach of, we would have to do way too much to be able to get that shot. How about we do this instead? It's like, no, they still put forth such an effort and wanted to make the best thing possible, regardless of, cutting a hole in the cabin floor.
That's such a youthful thing to do.
It is.
I feel bad because, if I made this now, I'd be like, guys, write what we have, not what we want to do. But, if you write what you want to do and make it work, then you have magic. It's like, God, it'd be such a pain in the ass. But guys, let's not do that.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm sitting here and not, my name's not Sam Raimi,
Yeah.
He had the foresight, man, to do it. Even when what's your face is all chopped up on the floor, just moving around. It's like, just how would you do that quickly? You don't. That's probably 2 days of work just to get all the pieces moving and that shot.
Well, and let's talk too about like the whole 5 minute sequence where Ash has to like drag out his girlfriend's corpse and then bury it. And then she comes back to life like and starts whooping his ass. Like that's incredible. And then there's like, obviously he decapitates her, but that's still, it's like still has issues. Like then there's a weird playfulness and like comedy side to the film, but I still think that the first movie has such a horror texture. It still is trying for scares. There's funny moments, but it's more of something that you have to have a certain type of sense of humor to kind of jive with those funny moments versus like the second and third film. There's just broad humor in it. Because I think of it, there's moments in this where it's like someone's just like screaming for a long time, and it gets to be kind of funny because it's so out there and so weird. And it's like, again, it's more because I have a weird, dark sense of humor than it actually being some kind of I don't know, dark or some kind of darkly funny moment. I think they were still trying to go for the horror.
Killer.
So you make a very good point because you actually said it perfectly, which is there is comedic moments, but they're not really comedic. It's just because we can see the comedy in what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they are being comedic when I think what is it, Shelley is like slapping Shelley around.
Yeah.
It's like there is a bit of Three Stooges-ness. There's a sprinkle, little black pepper of Three Stooges. But if I showed my Nana this movie, she wouldn't see that at all. She'd just be like, "What? This is dark and it's mean and it's evil and it's just a horror movie through and throughout." Where it's like it is, but it's kind of funny a little.
Yeah,
and that's just because you and me could see it. We could see it because we're this is made for us.
Yeah. I'll be honest. This was one of the first viewings last night where I laughed at several moments in this. Where I've never really seen the humor in this film. I've always considered this film to be very like the dark and evil one. And then the series ramps up to comedy with Army of Darkness. But like, this was the first time where it's like, there were several moments where I just like busted out laughing. And I know I never had in the past.
I don't know if I've ever busted out laughing, but yeah, I mean, it's always here a little.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, just like awkward moments. Like even something as simple as like the demon screaming when its hand gets caught in the door. It's like there's just, I don't know, there's just a weird dark sense of humor that seems present throughout.
Well, think about when the hand goes up to the cell door and grabs Ash. Like that's a serious moment, but like Ash has that very dramatic, like almost overly dramatic face. Mm-hmm. He puts his ear down. His expressions are big. And then the hand comes and grabs him. It's kind of funny, and then it goes in his mouth. It does a bit of Three Stooges. It's like it's funny in a kind of like in a kind of a very like a very very specific sense, but it is a serious part.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing where it's like, yeah, you could see that as serious, but I'm like, oh, I could see a little of the goofiness of it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some of it is just they were kids and it's amateur and maybe they it's not as polished. I can't tell.
Yeah.
But knowing what they like, I think we could both agree they're not horror guys. So if I find something slightly funny, it has to be on purpose, or at least it has to be, in the DNA of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I get that. Yeah. I agree as well. It's there's elements of this that like the whole third act is I mean, I guess it's technical part of the second act as well, but there's so many great angles once it's just Ash. Like it's just nonstop incredible filmmaking going on, just always trying to keep things visually interesting. And I don't know whether I remember it's the shot, it's like a Dutch angle and it's supposed to be the demon like going forward, the mysterious force, and it goes in towards Ash and then he shuts the door in its face, and then we have like this reverse shot where it's him turning around, and it's so incredible where there's a lot of prowess despite the fact that this is a student film. Like they don't have much money, but there's so much creativity with how it's presented.
That's the whole, yeah, dude, that's I think why we're sitting here talking about it this many years later is that absolutely.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi just had such an interesting eye, and I know he's influenced by obviously, there's I can't think of the director's name from like the 60s or something. I've seen people talk about it before, but it's like, but Sam Raimi decides that every time he's going to set up a shot or block, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's a zaniness to it, and it works because the movie is energetic.
Yeah.
You know, he's wise enough to like, this is not something that, like, if you watch, well, I was going to say Darkman, because Darkman has interesting shots as well, but it's not as zany. He knows when to pull back. And as you said, like, once it's Ash alone, he ramps it up. So he's still wise enough to know, there's good shots, there's interesting shots, a Dutch angle when Ash and his sister are walking down by the bridge, and the shot of the cabin on top of the van in the car. Like, we have good shots, but his shots get more interesting the more chaotic the movie gets. And it's like, well, yeah, because we're sort of in it. Yeah. Even when, Ash is walking up the stairs, it's like, whoo, whoo, and it has that low angle. I mean, I wouldn't think to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the film just gets bloodier and bloodier. Bruce Campbell is just covered with more and more blood. And like, I love the stop motion disintegration of all the people. And I mean, including the book beautiful. As well.
Yeah, the yellow. Oh, it's such a cool looking thing. It's like that alone. It's like fucking student film giving me like great stop motion demon deaths. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep stop being so great.
Yeah, it shows how stop motion can still. I mean, this is now fucking 45 years old at this point, and looks incredible. Looks really incredible still. And I don't know, I think this ending and this ramp up, like, it's such whenever I watch this film, I always think about watching it in one of my buddies' basements, and we just had the surround sound was blaring, where then it's just like all the screaming, and like it legit sounds like it's like you're having a fever dream. You're like having a religious experience. It's so over the top, and like the arms come out of the people, and it's a glorious ending.
Brilliant. It's a brilliant ending, and it's something that I don't know. It's hard to explain to a normal person, because it's like you have to just kind of be. It's in the moment. It's just, yes. By the time it gets to this, it's just all out crazy. Sound design, the effects. This fucking poor dork is just getting his ass kicked. I don't know. It's why I love the series. I mean, even if I saw it last, this is, I think, this is the type of horror that I point to.
Yep.
Those last 20 minutes is everything, dude. It's fucking just bonkers. It's off the wall. I love it. Well, and actually, the sidetrack, that's why the remake, I think, works so well, is because at same kind of thing, is it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier and fucking wackier, and they understood the assignment. It may not be as charming as a bunch of kids doing stuff in stop motion, but it's how you got to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And even that final shot of, because it's smart. Sam Raimi's so smart with it, because he puts it starts on just a shot of a leaf, so you don't know at first that it's going to be the demon, and then it goes up and starts just moving through, and you're like, oh motherfucker, it's not over. And then it moves through the house, and there's this great thing that it does where the stuff moves beforehand, which it happens the whole movie. Usually it's like trees that fall down, but I love, it's like the door opens, then the door falls down, and that push in on Ash, like, and goes into his mouth. Like, it's incredible. It's a great ending, and then the music right after. It's the perfect package.
I think it's the best ending because it kills Ash. Because I'm sorry, I always fight people because, like, well, we don't know he's going to be possessed. Like, no, he's dead. Because again, there wasn't a sequel. Like, yes, he lives because we need more, but to me, it's perfect because it was all for nothing.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool visual, like you said, of going through the house, and it ramps up like the last 3 or 4 frames into his mouth. It's a jittery, it's a weird look, but it's so fun. It's so cool. It's something I would copy in a heartbeat. Is that in the end, Ashley Williams did not win.
Well, I think that's That's a great way to end the discussion on it. Well, I mean, do I even need to ask? I feel like until we get to Rise, it's going to be super obvious what all of our ratings are.
Well, how about this? You go first. Let's see if there's a surprise.
I mean, this is a 4-star film. I love this movie so much. I acknowledge that just like Halloween, if I watched it now without the context, I might not attach to it as much. But that's what films are. It's the context for the moment. It's context of how you saw them. And Evil Dead, these were filmmakers from Michigan that went to Michigan State and made a movie. And so they were always big inspirations for me. And then like Sam Raimi made Spider-Man. He was like Spider-Man's my favorite. Like favorite character, not like the movie itself, but so Sam Raimi has just always been career goals. And I mean, Ted Raimi lives like fucking within 20 minutes of me. So I am in Raimi country. And that's just, I'm a big fan of this franchise, and we'll always love this first film for how creative and ballsy it is without really having much money.
And that last thing you said is exactly why, because it's not my favorite of the franchise. It's not. It never is, even if it's a 4-star movie. But it's the most inspiring. And it's the one that like I always go to where it's like, it can be done. It might be harder now than ever has been, and it probably won't ever happen for me. But this existing gives me hope. Like Andy Dufresne, like hope's important. When he was in that fucking cell, he had a record player, but it was in his mind. This is that record player for me. It's like, dude, with a vision, some good friends, and just no fucks to give, you can create something that will last past our lives and our kids' kids. So yeah, man, it's important. And obviously should be studied in film class, and I believe it is. And because of that, we've won.
Yeah. Great. That's a great way to summarize it. And yeah, we've done it. First Evil Dead is in the books. So obviously you can make sure to follow us on any of our social media stuff. We are noticing the comments on Spotify. We're trying to figure out how we can respond to you through our actual Needlessly Nostalgic account. But if you see other people responding, that's probably
Mr.
us
Brad Rusno
under our personal accounts.
The Gremlins rules, and maybe we'll talk about that next episode or something. But yeah, we're trying to find a way to answer. We don't actually know how to get into Spotify, so whoops.
Yeah, because all of our stuff is through Acast, which Acast just pushes it to Spotify. So technically, we don't have a Spotify creator account. So I'll figure it out. We'll get it worked out eventually. But yeah, thank you guys so much. And also make sure if you missed out on it, we have a best of the year podcast that should have just went up on the 31st. And then last month, we had an incredible Black Christmas 2019 commentary with Andrew Hatfield that you definitely want to check out. This month, we will be doing Army of Darkness. So definitely, you're going to want to check that one out as well. And thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you next week when we cover Evil Dead 2. Thank you so much, and goodbye.